Good evening and welcome to another McMuscles Midnight Massacre, Chapter 2. Today we are furious because we are reviewing The Furies.
The Furies.
This is a new Shudder, I think exclusive. I didn't really see it.
I would believe so.
I like to believe so too. And we were just like, what should we review next? And I think Shudder was just
open Shudder. It was like a combination, maybe email, or we opened it. They're like, new movie. We're like, what are you?
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay.
We read the synopsis, and basically for you guys, the synopsis is there's 8 women and there's 8 serial killers, and they're all assigned to each other, and it's like a fight to the death. And I'm like, I'll have a bit of that.
Well, I don't know if they're serial killers, but 8 ladies, 8 killers, 8 beauties, 8 beasts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that part.
So each have. Well, we'll get to the rules later, but that was like the premise. So we're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we basically follow. There's like a main girl character, and she has a friend, and I think it takes place. It's in Australia.
It's Australian. Yeah.
And they're kind of having an argument, and then all of a sudden they
get abducted.
They don't know where they are, and then they wake up.
Yeah.
In like a coffin.
In like a box.
Yeah.
And the boxes are numbered, and
you're given no real explanation at first, and she arrives in like, and she...
You're in the middle of like a big forest, big woods.
She's like in the Australian outback, not in the outback per se, but like in the woods or whatever, and thus ensues is her trying to figure out what's going on. There's guys in masks. The entirety of Slipknot is running around. I'm not even joking. Like if Slipknot didn't exist, I'm not sure some of these killers would exist, or their masks at the very least. Yeah. A lot of them were.
I just felt like I was playing Dead by Daylight. I loved every second of it.
It's true.
Every guy, I was like, "Ooh, look at this guy!" I was like, "Oh, look at that guy!" It's like, oh.
It's kind of fun seeing like, oh, I want to see the next one, see the next one, or whatever.
So yeah, the rules are kind of part of the development of the story. How the main girl.
Because it's not actually like, it's more to it than like the trailer leads you to believe. Like there's more going on under the surface.
From the trailer, it's like girls abducted, then in the woods, and then someone's trying to kill them, but it's like more than that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a game, but the rules are not like immediately like presented to you. There's not like some guy that says like, oh, you have to like the
survive the night.
It seems like the killers are maybe told that they need to do this, but then again that's unclear too. But basically, yeah, it's about this girl Kayla. She's like the main character, and her friend. Maddie. I did. You didn't like her so much I thought you'd remember her name. And she wakes up by herself, Kayla does, and she's just like, where's Maddie? And like Kayla has something wrong with her eye, right?
Yeah. Well, again, and she meets some other girls, so that's where you could initially see, like, okay, it's not just her, like, because there's other girls also frightened and running around and being like, the fuck, there's a guy here.
Yeah, we're in Australia.
There's a mask, and it's scary.
Instant hotel.
Yeah. So they kind of try to help each other, but then not really, because some girls are kind of bitches, but then they get what they deserve.
And then some kind of like, I should probably go out on my own.
Yeah.
And like, what ensues is a little bit more interesting than just battle royale, just like, one team versus more interesting than just like the Hunger Games basic premise. Battle royale fans are gonna be really angry. I even mentioned Hunger Games in the same breath, but that's fine. So, do you want to go into what we liked and disliked?
Yeah, well, I can say right now, like, I liked all the killer designs. They did all have like kind of the same.
There was one you were like, eh. There's one little wooden mask.
Oh yeah, like a little baby face. It was kind of pathetic, but they all kind of had the same outfit where it was like a little bit of like a tan colored salopette. Yeah.
Yeah. Oshkosh bagosh.
Oshkosh bagoshes, but they zhuzhed it up with their own style. Now I want to give away one of the best one was the guy that was wearing like a suit of skin, but like it was cut from here, and then like he had the little feet attached to his feet from the back, like in the butt. It was just like,
I still didn't understand.
It was elaborate. Like it was crazy.
And he has like a leather face.
Yeah, because it went from like the chest up and the face was on his face.
What I have in the thumbnail for this video.
So they all had their own little like.
There's a guy that his
designer moment.
Looked like a beehive.
Yeah, you like that guy.
I really like that guy.
You like that guy. And then there was like an owl face, and then there were some other random faces. So there's 8 of them. So like the thing is, when you wouldn't immediately, like you'd see one, you'd see it again and again, but then you're always like, once you figure out the rules, you're like, wait, there's about 3-4 more designs we have yet to see.
Yeah, so you start.
So it lets you anticipate, like, what are these like character designs going to be, and it's going to be exciting when we see them. And again, I'm like, maybe I played too much Day by Daylight, but I was like super into it. I was like, this is amazing.
A lot of them did remind me of Dead by Daylight characters.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some of them I was like, yeah, that's similar.
I'm like, it's the Trapper. Like,
so along with the killers, there's like, you know, a really healthy mix of practical effects in this, especially for the kills. Obviously, like all the killers have just like masks and whatever, and there's some, and they do have a little bit of CGI there, but it's kind of like very brief. But mostly, it's like the very first kill in the movie involving an axe. I won't go into it, but that was like pretty brutal, and I was just like, whoa!
Yeah, it set the tone.
Because we haven't watched a whole lot of like practical, like, you know, gore effects. There's usually a bunch of CG, or there's been like no real big kills at all so far, at least of the time of this recording. So I really like that too. The killer designs also super agree.
Yeah. So if you have a gore lust, like this is a good movie
satisfying.
for you. It's satisfying. It's not too much of it. It's enough. It's paced well. It's there. The effects are great, and it's like it's some like cringy, like you know. Yeah,
I was like been on like a really gross. I remember we saw Terrifier last year, and there was 1 or 2 kills, especially Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk, but there was only that one.
Yeah, you know, if you're gonna have one, just have that one.
Yeah.
I think we both agree on this. You also like the main girl, the main actress. I think she was pretty strong in this.
She was pretty strong because she like got her shit together. She figured it out. One thing we said we liked is that there wasn't too much time spent, especially with her being like completely helpless and freaked out and what the fuck is going on and just like hysterical, which I don't like. But then again, Australian girls are made different.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you ever see that video of this girl, like, she's in a picnic with a guy, and there's a video, and there's like a snake coming toward her, she just like yanks it and like,
right.
She just like snatches it, because that's just, you live in Australia, you gotta be tough, right?
I mean, there's 1 or 2 girls that freak out, like her friend, Maddie.
Yeah, well, that's because, again, not going into detail, she was kind of, didn't really see what was going on or know what was going on, so she just kind of was
sequestered,
more hysterical.
Yeah.
And the other girl, Rose, I don't even want to talk about this outfit. I'm going to talk about this outfit.
You have a right to talk about the outfits.
I'm not going to say all homeschooled kids are weird, because that's a broad generalization, okay? And, you know,
no, I knew a really cool guy that was homeschooled.
Homeschooled kids can be like any other kid, just like it's a choice. But they made her be like, I'm homeschooled, I don't know how to socially interact, I don't know how to deal with stuff.
Yeah.
And they made her wear like a pinafore salopette, like corduroy black dress with the zipper. And then she had a cardigan under it, and then a frilly blouse cardigan under a salopette dress over floral tights. And I was just like, you know what? Something's wrong with you. So, I don't care if your mom dresses you.
So, and immediately after she starts talking, there's something kind of up.
There's something off.
We never really kind of said anything, but it reminds me a lot, actually, of how this movie's set up. It reminds me of Predators, the one with Adrian Brody and Danny Trejo. And there's a bunch of killer people, and they all have very different personalities, and one of them's kind of like, oh, hi, I'm the one that doesn't really belong. Oh, you girls are kind of tough. And you just think, like, okay, what's the deal with this? There's this one person that's like, why would they capture her? But then again, you don't know why. In Predator, you know why. Like, we want to fight these, you know, mercenaries and soldiers.
Is it because she's like a sociopath? Like, what was it?
It in Predators?
Yeah.
Oh, it was fucking Eric Foreman.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, it's fucking Eric Foreman.
Yeah, but that gave it away almost. It was too much. Like, I'm this meek little mouse.
But in this, you were kind of like, well, it could be this, but it could not. The movie doesn't really, like, say outright or have any big tells where it's like, oh, you can expect this. It kind of...
I kind of knew that girl be fucking up at one point because she was not normal, but whatever, you know.
But she, as it goes on, she kind of like gets more interesting or whatever. So that character I kind of liked after a while, like in its totality. I was like, oh, they did something interesting with her. What did we not like?
Well, you had said that you didn't like that the killers actually didn't have as much screen time as they should have because they were super cool.
Now, I understand that there's 8, someone's going to get the short end of the machete, right? So, but there's one or two where I was like, oh, what's he go? Oh,
Yeah.
like you don't get to see too much of them, and it's unlike something like 13 Ghosts, where every ghost gets their little bit, and one guy gets more than a lot of the others.
Yeah. It was an unbalance of screen time for the killers for sure.
And all of them are like solid enough. They're none of them have
except for the babyface guy.
Yeah. None of them have any personality traits, like none of them talk or have special powers and cooldowns, other special moves. So that was kind of like, I would like to see more of that guy or that guy. I also, you didn't really say anything about this, but I was like, this movie's filmed entirely
during the day.
In the day, which normally is not too bad. I know in Australia it's like, the heat's really bad and oppressive, and it gets really cold at night, but it kind of made me get a little tired of looking at the same stuff over and over. It's just dusty, bright forest, and I wouldn't minded the movie, like, it doesn't have to be longer, but have them try to sleep overnight, have them like a night scene where they're like being stalked by the guys.
Like a dust
could have had scene. But it could have had a little variety, and like night brings a whole different set of terrors, like no one can see in the dark, and it would have been a more like, just for variety.
I feel like there's so much of that I'm bored of that, and if that isn't included, I don't mind. But that's just me personally.
I was just getting tired visually on a color palette level, like
it was very whitewashed or whatever. But I was fine with it. One big dislike you had, which I don't agree, we don't always agree, was like you didn't like the ending denouement. Like what was behind this whole thing, like why. And you thought the last 10 minutes of the movie was very unnecessary, a wrap up. I'm trying not to give things away.
Or it could have been just shortened. Like it kind of.
I feel like it was fine. It was really not too long. You're just exaggerating, but that's your feeling. Like that's how you feel, and that's fine. I feel not the same way. I thought it was perfect, and I didn't mind it, and I thought it was super cool, and whatever.
It wasn't. It was very poor, very. I'm kidding. I
wasn't that bad. You were just like, it's just too long. I didn't like that. I'm like, it was fine.
It just went on and on and on to me, and I was just like, you could have shortened this. You could have made this a bit more like, succinct.
It was 4 minutes.
Yeah, it didn't feel like 4 minutes, but
that's your opinion.
Like again, it's a minor thing on this movie. It's just like the final like scene that will like move to a different location. I just felt it was unneeded, but it didn't hurt it. And overall, we're going to recommend this. I
would have rather that scene be there than it just end before that scene and not be sort of tied up.
You totally have a point there where I don't mind like an ending scene. To tie it up a bit better, but
because there's so many unanswered questions. Again, I think one of the things too that you didn't like too was how are we seeing this? Like you weren't so.
No, I think my thing was. So there's a technological thing about how they're surveying.
But then you're like,
girls.
there could have just been camera static everywhere.
Yeah, because the movie's plot of how the girls are being watched, is kind of like a little interesting, but it didn't really do that much with it ultimately.
And seemed more complicated and elaborate than it should be.
Considering what's going on here, and I was like, well, you could have just had cameras. Like watching them like hooked up on trees, but maybe that's elaborate too. I don't know.
I think that was what made it different and gave it like a little bit of a twist, even though it was not so realistic, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Whatever. Anyways, we digress. We do recommend this movie regardless. Form your own opinion.
All these little things are really minor because
they're really not that important. The meat of it is like
I would love to see a sequel. I want to see like a sequel, or not even a sequel, but like the same premise. Again, because I was really into it. I was really into the killers. I was really into seeing the girls escape or get killed or whatever it is.
Whatever happens to them.
The whole push and pull of this concept.
Yeah, I did like it was different. It was interesting because it wasn't obvious the second it happened. Like the second she wakes up in this box, it wasn't obvious. It wasn't like called it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You have to really stay with the story to get what it was. Like what it was. What was the premise? So. I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Anything new in horror is interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everything's been done a million times. Because it's all the same shit.
It takes a lot of the same stuff we know, like girls fighting like women and like girls like, heroines or whatever. There's a bunch of final girls.
Yeah.
And then it's like mixing it with another genre bit and doing something different.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it. Like,
exactly.
The only thing is that do you remember like a girl early on tells the main girl Kayla like something about the Furies, and that's the name of the movie, but it doesn't really do anything. Doesn't really go anywhere. And there's only the one girl that's like a Fury anyway.
Well, yeah.
The minor thing. I mean, what else are you supposed to call it? Like Dead by Daylight, the movie? I don't know.
Beauty and the Beasts.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all, actually. That actually is a better
Beauties
title.
versus Beasts.
Beauties versus the Beasts. It's kind of a tongue twister, but it's actually a bit more apropos
succinct
with than what is going on in the
But I like the Furies because I'm very into that. You know, vengeance.
Yeah, so
all about it.
Recommend it. I think right now it's only on Shudder if people have that service, but we watched a lot of movies so far on Shudder, and it's a recommended app, certainly. So that'll conclude another McMuscles Midnight Massacre. Don't be furious. We'll be back tomorrow night.